What's going on, guys? It's Renjen and welcome to episode 3 of my Java tutorial series. First things first, I do have a new microphone, so if you have any feedback at all on that, go ahead and leave that in the comments section. I'll be sure to check that out. So let's just get right into it. Now, today we're going to be talking about if statements, and if you come from a previous programming language, if you really have any background in programming or coding at all, you'll probably be pretty familiar with if statements, and you might just be looking for syntax, things like that for Java specifically. But if you're not and you're maybe completely new, that's perfectly fine as well. And we're going to go ahead and get you started today. But if statements are a pretty simple concept to understand. It's basically just if this is true, then this is going to happen. And I already have my class here with my main method set up. If you want a little bit more explanation on that, you can go ahead and check out episode 1 of this series. But let's go ahead and just write out a main outline of an if statement. So right away, if you just put in if, you're going to get this nice big purple line here. That's going to be blocking your if statement off, and that's pretty much just how you start an if statement. And basically what an if statement is going to do is, we learned about booleans in the last episode, which is a variable that tests either true or false. And we're going to go ahead and put then here. Now I'll go ahead and explain this. So if boolean is true, then this is going to happen. Now you don't have to write then or anything. That doesn't have to go anywhere in your code. That is just, right here. Everything that's here is known that this is the then section, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and write a pretty basic if statement just so you can get a better understanding. And I'll be testing the variable x in my boolean, so the first step is obviously to declare our variable x. So integer x equals 10. Pretty simple. And if we want to test if x is greater than 9, we can go ahead and put in simply x is greater than 9. Now there are a number of operators that we use here. I'll get into that in just a second after I show you just a basic outline of an if statement. So far what we have is if x is greater than 9, then, well, we don't have anything yet. So let's go ahead and put that in. System.out.println, and let's just say yes. So, oops, don't forget my semicolon. Basically what this is saying is if x is greater than 9, which of course we know x is 10, x is greater than 9, then print yes. So let's go ahead and make sure that this works. And bada bing, yes. Now it didn't print out yes twice. This was from a previous take. I am not perfect, I will admit. But there you have it. And just to actually prove it to you one more time, I'll do it one more time so it shows up for a third time. Alright, so perhaps I went a little overboard. But let's get back into it. So if we wanted to test if x was greater than 9, or x is less than 9, sorry. If x is less than 9, we change that, what's going to happen? Well, if you guess nothing, you'd be correct. And the reason for that is we only are telling the program to do anything if this is true. Now the way to have an option or an alternative is to use what's called an else statement or structure. So an else is directly tied to the if statement, and it actually is basically if this is false. So it's sort of, actually never mind. I was gonna say something, but I think it might confuse you a little bit more than help you. So basically, if x is less than 9, it's gonna go ahead and print this. But if that isn't true, it's gonna go ahead and print this. And wait. Okay, there we go. Got to make sure we have our spacing all correct. Print line. No. So let's go ahead and run that. And of course we're testing if x is less than 9. So let's just check here if x is in fact less than 9. No. So now, with addition to the, actually let me go over the operators first. I almost forgot. So obviously I used greater than and less than, or in the wrong order, greater than and less than. And these are just basic operators I'm sure you all learned in grade school. And there's also an or, which is like that, but actually it would be in conjunction with other operators. So if x, and the way that we test for equality is actually two equal signs. So if x equals 10, then this is testing for equality, this is setting a variable. So two equal signs tests for equality, one equal sign sets the variable. So here we're saying x equals 10, and here this is does x equal 10. And what I was saying here is this is used in conjunction with one or more booleans, and this is saying or. So if x is less than 9 or x equals 10. Now if we wanted to go ahead and run this, now this is false, but this is true. So the or will be fulfilled, and it will be yes, because we're only looking for either one. I'm sure you all know the definition of the word or. And yes, so we can also say and, which is represented by two and signs. And let's compile that and run that. And obviously this will say no, because not both of them are true. Only one of them is true, as this one is false. And another thing that you can also use with if statements is what's called an else if. Now this is basically another specific option, and to kind of use this example here where we have x equals 10, else if, let's say x equals 10. So this is basically saying the same thing as if x is less than 9. So I'm going to go ahead and write this out and then explain it after I run it. So I think that'll be the easiest way for you to understand it. Print line, and just for, well, for it to sort of make sense, I'm going to put maybe. I don't know if that will make sense to you. It doesn't really make sense to me either. I forgot a semicolon. But just because this is yes and this is no, I'm just going to say maybe. The word doesn't really make sense, but it's just a way of us knowing that this is what is being fulfilled. So you see what I mean in a second. I compiled that. Let me go ahead and run that. And basically what's going to happen is when it runs it, it's going to go from top to bottom. So it's going to start at the top, and it's going to test if x is less than 9. And, well, x is 10, obviously not less than 9. Okay, so what's next? Now it's going to run this one, and it's going to test this, else if x is equal to 10. Okay, it's going to go, well, yeah, that's true. And then it's going to run this code. So it's basically going to run down the if statement until something is true. And of course, if nothing in the if statement is true, it's just going to go with the else. Pretty much everything is false, and pretty much as a last resort. So let's go ahead and run this. It should give us a maybe. Yep, it does in fact. And let's go back to our program and go ahead and change these up here. Let's say x equals 10 right here, and x is less than 9 right here. So let me run this one more time, and obviously this one is true, so it's going to give us a yes. Boom, gives us a yes. So as this if statement runs from top to bottom, and obviously sees that the first one here is x equals 10, and it's going to go ahead and print out this because, you know, this one is true. Now after it finds something that is true, it's going to go ahead and just cut this off. It's not going to run this. This is just going to get thrown out the window pretty much. This doesn't even get run through the code. It doesn't even, it knows that this is pretty much irrelevant because this is already true, and obviously you can't have two else if x equals 10, something like that. So that's going to all be thrown out the window. X is less than 9, or I put greater than 9. I'm just trying to restore it to the way it was before. There we go. And it's not even going to run any of this. Now obviously if we had this be x equals 11, it's going to go ahead and run all the way through, and it's going to go all the way down to no. As it goes down, nope, that's false, nope, that's false. Okay, well, everything else is false, so we do have an if else statement, so, well, that's what we're going with. Now, if there's no else statement like we saw before, if everything's false, then just nothing's going to happen. And a lot of times that's okay, depending on the situation it is in your program, whatever is going on. And if, you know, nothing needs to happen, if nothing is true, then so be it. But you can also have multiple else if statements, and of course it doesn't really matter which one is which. So this could be the x equals 11. This part could be right here, and this part could be here. Those could be flipped. Doesn't really matter. But the alternative method of doing something like that is maybe we're testing for a site if age is greater than 13 for you to sign up, and then it would just say, I'm going to abbreviate system.out.print to just yes. So maybe it would say yes, you can. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it. I'll write it out. It's not that much. Print line, yes, and then else. Or actually, I'm trying to show you the wrong way to do it. But so don't go ahead and copying this. Sorry if you started copying it. I apologize. But basically, this is what we kind of want to stay away from. So system dot out. I cannot type. Why can I not type? Dot print. Oh my gosh. Line. Okay, no. So basically, this is, can you sign up? Yes, you can sign up because you're over 13, or no, you can't sign up because you're not over 13. And I know I don't have a variable for age because I'm not actually going to run this. I'm just kind of showing you that because we have an if statement here, this is testing if age is greater than 13. It's going to go ahead and say yes. But if we want to have if age is less than 13, it'd be much more efficient for us to have, and well, more grammatically correct, programming grammar, basically, to have an else statement rather than an if statement that's basically just an else statement. You know what I'm saying? And another reason for that is, like I said, once something is found true, it's just going to cut off the rest of this. So even if it finds this to be true, it's still going to have to run this, which isn't, the biggest of deals because we aren't running a large-scale program, but it is still good practice and definitely, the right way to do things. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that because that's bad code. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I try not to make them too long because I know I can ramble on. It does take me a long time to describe things and explain them, but hopefully, I explain them well enough for you to understand, as that is just my main goal. But if you have any feedback, go ahead and leave that in the comment section. I have been pretty busy with school lately, that's why I haven't been quite as active, but have a little bit of a break here and there. So, found some time to make some episodes. And like I said, if you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it, or I guess read it. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.